Spring Security. So here we're going to talk about Spring Security from 3,000 or 30,000 feet. Just give you a sense of what features Spring Security supports. And then we are going to get into nitty-gritty detail on how to in fact configure security, authentication, and authorization. We are going to see how we can use Remember Me feature. I'm sure you guys are familiar with the Remember Me feature. It's everywhere. And the last topic is CSRF, cross-site, reference forgery, attack. Okay, so we are going to see what it is and how to solve it. Okay, Spring Security Overview. So Spring Security provides a portable and pretty comprehensive security services for Java-based enterprise applications. Mainly it handles authentication and authorization. And authentication is the process of establishing a principal is who he claimed to be. By the way, a principal could be a user, it could be a device, or it could be programming entity. If it is in fact web service client, then means it's a programming entity rather than a user, right? Authorization sometimes is called access control. It refers to process of deciding whether a principal is allowed to perform an action or an access a resource. So it's access right checking. Spring provides many authentication schemes. For example, basic authentication, form-based authentication, digest-based authentication, X.509, certificate-based authentication. So these 4 authentication schemes are in fact basic authentication schemes that Servlet Servlet specification in fact mentions. In addition, Spring supports a lot of other authentication schemes. LDAP is very popular in enterprise organizations as a cross-platform authentication scheme. OpenID is a scheme that you can allow a user to be able to access many websites without creating a new password. And also the authentication based on pre-established request headers, such as the Computer Associated SignMinder, and there are a couple of other vendors that support this kind of authentication schemes. And a lot more. J6 Central Authentication Service and Transparent Authentication Context Propagation of RMI or HTTP Invoker, Automatic Remember Me Authentication. So this is something we are going to look into later on. Anonymous Authentication. We run as authentication. Basically, one can access somebody, which is useful if one should proceed with the different security identities. Sometimes, you authenticated yourself as A, and then sometimes you want to play the role of principal B. So in that case, you could use run as authentication. It also supports JAS. JAS stands for Java Authentication and Authorization Service. This is from Java community. It basically provides a pluggable architecture where you can plug in different authentication server or different authorization server. Java EE container authentication or covers. So pretty much every authentication scheme out there can be supported in Spring. This is again third-party authentication support. So I'm not gonna read through these things. Just to let you know, basically every authentication scheme that is possible can be supported in Spring Framework. Okay, so I gave you a pretty decent set of feature list in Spring. In terms of authorization support, main areas of authorization can be applied. So authorizing web request. Authorizing whether methods can be invoked, authorizing access to individual domain object instances. So you have a pretty fine-grained the access control you can implement with a Spring application. Okay, so let's talk about the security configuration. So we are now getting into a bit more nitty-gritty detail. Question from Rakesh: does it support OAuth 2? Yeah, absolutely. Yeah. Okay, so this is an example of security configuration in a typical Spring MVC application. Okay, first of all, you have to have enable web security the annotation. Okay, so basically, it's an indication that you are configuring the security for your web application by extending web security configure adapter class. Okay, or creating a bean instance of it with these things. Okay, so that is this enable web security annotation works with web security configure adapter class. Okay, so one of the things that you can override in this configure adapter class is configuring of HTTP security. Okay, so this is relevant to HTTP security. So it's receiving HTTP security object as an argument, and then you're going to use that HTTP security object to configure authorization. So the first part is the authorization, and the second part is form login, how you are going to implement a form login, and the third part is log out, and the last part is security exception handling. Okay, so we're gonna actually talk about each of these in a bit more detail later on. And later on, I just want you to give big picture in terms of how to configure the access control, meaning authorization, how to specify form login for your custom login, and log out and security exception handling, and many more other features could be configured. Okay. Okay, so again, we're gonna actually talk about each of these things in a bit more detail. So let's move on. Authentication manager and provider can be also configured. Okay, so authentication manager is a container. You can think of it as a container of multiple authentication providers. And there are many authentication providers we talked about already, right? Some of those examples are JAS, LDAP, Active Directory, OpenID, OAuth, all those things. So each authentication provider is implementation of authentication provider interface. Okay. Okay. So now let's see how you can plug in a particular authentication provider here. So again, you are going to use web security configure adapter the class. So we were able to configure all access control and form login and things like that, right? So by setting HTTP security object. Okay, now we can actually have the authentication provider to be configured. So we could actually have a method called auto configure global method, and then authentication manager builder object will be injected. You are asking Spring MVC security container to inject authentication manager builder object, and from that builder object we are creating in-memory authentication object. Okay, and for that authentication provider, we can set now username and password. So user rod and password is rod, and roles, the rod belongs to supervisor, user, and teller, and then .end, and then we are adding Diane, who has a role of user and teller, and Scott, Peter, and Sang. Those three users have just user role. So this is again very fluent programming style, and is easy to understand and easy to use. Okay, so we have seen how to configure access control, and along with the logout, the login, exception handling, as well as now we understand how to configure authentication provider. Okay, so in this case we are using in-memory authentication, but you could use JDBC authentication provider, or LDAP authentication provider, and all those things. So here in our case we are using the simplest possible authentication provider, which is in-memory authentication. Okay, All right, so let's do exercise 1. So exercise 1 is we are going to secure an application that has not been secured step by step. Actually, before I do that, I want to actually explain this slide a bit more detail, okay? Before we do the exercise. So here we are setting the authorization. So for any slash slash or slash HTML index.html, we want give permission to everyone. So for this pattern, everyone can access it. So we call permit all. Okay. For this URL, hello world say Spring should be accessible only by a principal who belongs to supervisor role. And this one, hello world, can be accessible by any principal who belongs to user role. And any request authenticated, that means any request should be authenticated. Okay, so basically everyone needs to be authenticated. Form login is that the login page is this /login. Okay, so this is in fact the URL. So based on this URL, there has to be some view selected, right? So we're gonna in fact use the immediate controller to display our custom login page. If login failed, this is the URL it should go to. Okay, so it's gonna go to login ? Error. That's the URL it goes to. Okay, default successful URL. So this is a case that well, this is actually set to false, but if this is set to true, then every successful login should go to this URL. Okay, so in many organizations, they want everyone to go to a particular page after successful login, right? Like in Starbucks, even if you actually went to a different site, in the Starbucks, if you try to go someplace else, it always go to Starbucks' initial page, right? So that's basically default success URL case, and in that case, you have to set to true. And permit all. So here, let's see, and this is logout. Okay, let's see. Sorry about that. And this is exception handling case. Okay. All right. So let's do the exercise 1. Okay. So here, Spring Security. So we are going to implement security to an application that does not have security yet. Okay, so we are going to actually do it kind of step by step. So we're going to actually use the MVC Basics Simple Initial Sample Application. Okay, so that doesn't have the security built in. Okay, hold a second. Let me just take this phone call. Hello. Yeah. 예. 제가 지금 클래스를 가르치고 있거든요. 제가 나중에 전화 드려도 될까요? 지금 없는데요. 예. 저희 장인어른 돌아가신 지 오래됐어요. 한 달 됐어요. 예. 제가 지금 클래스를 가르치고 있거든요. 그래서 제가 지금 전화를 끌어야 되는데요. 지금 제가 클래스를 가르치고 있어요. 예, 예. 예, 맞습니다. 예. 저 지금 클래스 하시기 때문에 지금 못 드리는. 네? 아마 비슷할 거예요. 예. 제가 지금 클래스를 가르치기 때문에 지금 어디 갈 수가 없어요. 예, 제가 나중에 전화를 좀 드려도 될까요? 한 시간? 예, 알겠습니다. 예. Okay, sorry about that. Okay, so what we are going to do is we are going to run this application and we are going to add security features. Okay, so let's run security and MVC basics initial. So let's run this application first. Okay, run as Java application and main application. Oh, what happens? Oh, you know what? Yeah, I think it was I'm running Tomcat, so I have to stop the Tomcat. So I just stopped it. Okay, so yeah, I think I stopped it, and let's actually run now. Run as Java application, main application. Okay, so it's up and running. So let me just go to 88. So it's a very simple application here. Okay, yes, this one. So we go to hello world, and it should display jpassion.com, and say spring, it should say spring, and say summer, it should actually say summer. Okay, it's a very simple application. Now, because there is no security involved in this application, you can access all this the URL without a problem. So we are going to add security to this. Okay, so here we just did it. So first of all, we have to modify pom.xml file. So pom.xml file, we have to add Spring Boot starter security here. Okay, so let's add this dependency into pom.xml file. Okay, so let's go to pom.xml file, and we are going to add, we can just add any place. And okay, so we add that the starter security, and then we need to create web security config.java file. So this is a brand new configuration file involving the security configuration. So we are going to create on the MVC directory. So here we are going to go MVC directory. So let's create a brand new file, new, and class, and we are going to name it as web security config, and okay, and finish. Okay, and then we are going to copy this code. Okay, so I'm gonna just copy this part first. Let me just copy from the top. Okay, and auto wired, and then here. Okay, so if you take a look at the code, basically these are the things that we have learned. Okay, so any root and index HTML, we want to allow anybody to access it. Okay, but these two, hello say string, hello say spring, say spring should be accessible only to supervisor, and hello world should be accessible only to user, and then everyone should be authenticated. Okay, and then we have a login. So this is the login page. So whenever whenever a user is trying to log in, it should actually go to this URL. This is the error URL, and this is the default target after login. For now, is set to false. Okay, and then so all these things should be actually done. So these things should be accessible by anyone. Okay, so that is actually permit all. Okay, because login page, you should make that page to be accessible to everyone, right? Okay, log out, when the logout is actually successful, it goes over here. Again, the logout should be accessible by anyone, and this is exception handling. If there is access denied, it actually goes to access denied URL. Okay, and then we have created username and password combination with these roles. Okay, and user, And then we are going to modify MVC config file. So here we are going to set immediate view controller. So when user is sending URL to log in, we want to actually display this page, security on, because we want to have our security related views in directory of security, okay? Because we don't actually mix up those pages with others, right? So we have those security related the view JSP pages on the security subdirectory security, but you don't want to actually expose this security to users, right? So users will just use a login and default target after login and access denied, and those will be in fact immediately select this one as a view, okay? So this page will be displayed, okay? All right, so now what change is, so we did make that change. Now we're gonna actually make a change in the MVC config. So MVC config here, we are going to add these 3 lines of code. Okay, so that is done. Now we are going to add some security related views. So we need to actually add these views: my custom login and the default target after login and access denied. Okay, so we need to add those the views. So we are going to actually add those things on the security subdirectory on the web INF and views. Okay, so we are going to go to src main web app and web INF. On the views, we are going to create the security subdirectory, new, and security finish. And on the security directory, we are going to add this page. So that is access denied.jsp page. So I am going to create access denied JSP page on that security directory. New and file, and the name of the file is access denied.jsp, and then we are going to copy this code to access denied. Okay, so if you take a look at the code, basically this page, if access denied, we just want to say access denied, try again. And we also can display what the user is trying to, what is the current user. Okay, so page context request remote user, that is representing the current user that has been logged in. Okay, so we should be able to see, and then this is the again we actually display this URL. Okay, and the default target after login, so this is basically when the user is just logged in. This could be the default JSP page depending on whether you set it to true or false. Okay, but anyway, we want to actually create this page. So here right click and the new, again file, and the file name, and so that's the JSP page. And here we are going to save this page. Okay, so now here in this case we are, so this one, this one don't worry about. This is a CSRF the token, but we're gonna actually talk about this one later on. Okay, so here basically we display the message. This is a page that gets displayed after successful login, so that's the indication that it goes to that page. The last one is a custom login.jsp page. So this is a page that gets displayed when the user is trying to log in. Okay, or whether user needs to be logged in. Okay, so we are going to create this page, and the new, and a new file, and here JSP, and then we are going to copy this guy over here. Okay, and here let me just explain a little bit. So here, if this one, if not empty Spring security last exception, this means if there has been any error, okay, then we want to display this. Okay, so basically if there has been any access error, for example, we want to display that error message here, okay, with a font color of red. So your login attempt was not successful due to, yeah, so this is a login failure, you know, typically login failure, because access failure is going to be going to different access denied.jsp page, okay? And this one, yeah, so this is actually a token thing, so don't worry about this. So we have created these 3 JSP files. So if you actually take a look at the on the security folder, we should have these 3 pages, okay? And now we are going to modify index.html page so that, you know, we have more information here. Then we are just it's just, yeah, in this case, you know, we just change index.html file to give more information so that you can actually run this code without searching for what the username is, you know, what is their roles and stuff like that. So we are going to change index.html file with this. Okay. All right. Now we also need to change my page 1 and my page 2 and my page 3. You know, basically it doesn't need to be changed, but we want to actually display some information. We'd like to display who is in fact the logged in user, and we also like to have them to be able to log out. So, you know, basically we have a form, okay, where user can actually click a button to log out. Okay, so that is the my page 1.jsp page. And so that is this page. So I'm gonna just copy this code, and same thing for my page 2. It's mainly we want to actually, you know, have more information, who is the logged in user, and also having a way of logging out. Okay, so my page 2 and my page 3 is also okay. So we have defined 3 pages. Okay, all right, now we should be able to run the application. Okay, so we are going to run the application. So right click and run as, and job application, and add. Okay, so the problem. Oh, okay, Tomcat. So I didn't stop the server. Okay, so let's stop the server, and then run it again. Okay, so now we are gonna go to localhost 8080. Okay, now let's actually try to click this hello world. Now if I click this guy, because we are now secured, the application is secured, and I'm not logged in yet, so it's asking me to log in, and it's using my custom login page. Okay, so we are going to you know, let's try the invalid credential, like whatever, and it should return with this error message: your login attempt was not successful due to bad credentials. Okay, so now let's this time enter the valid username and password. Okay, so Sang is a valid user, but Sang and Sang. Okay, so you log in, you sign in. Now you are logged in as Sang, and it's actually accessing that hello world page. Okay, so that's cool. So that worked out as expected, right? So we are going to actually sign out. Okay, so we are no longer access denied. That is interesting. So sign out. The object index has displayed. You are logged in. Yeah, so hello world, and sign out. Oh, that's interesting. It should actually, I should be able to sign out, but it seems like a sign out is actually somehow access denied. Okay, so sign out, it seems like it's configured that the only supervisor role or something like that. Okay, so I'm going to actually try, let's see, I have to see why that is the case. So I'm gonna actually try yeah, I'm gonna actually try to log out, the manually. So I'm gonna say log out like this. Oops, let's see. Oh, what is the logout URL? So if you take a look at the logout, maybe it's because log out. Let's see. Take a look at the zip keys here. So let's see what is the log out. Oh, it's really, yeah, this is better. Log out. We want to be able to log. So it looks like I didn't actually set the logout, successful logout. So let me just say logout middle. Yeah, it is actually. Oh, the logout has to be post request. That's the reason, even if I actually try to over here, when I try to log out, it's not going to work because, it has to be a post request. And this one, it is a get request. That's the reason it didn't work. But when I tried this thing, it should actually log out and worked okay. So that is interesting. Anyway, so I'm going to explain using the slide, the lab documentation. I'm gonna actually let you guys actually try this one yourself. Okay, I'm gonna actually see why my behavior is a little bit kind of different from the documentation. So when you click this guy, is asking, yeah, so Sang and Sang, okay. And oh, this is remember me, that's not what I want. So I want to actually go to the exercise one. Sorry about that. So we try, yeah, so we try, yeah, so this step. So when you click sign out, you should be able to sign out, but somehow I'm actually having some issues. Okay, so let's see whether you have a better luck. So it should actually display index.html file like this. Okay, and then here if I go to say Spring, this one is only accessible to supervisor role, and now here you are going to enter as a Sang and Sang. Sang has only a user role, so you sign in, and now you are going to see this access denied and try again. You are logged in as a Sang. Okay, so here you are going to, now you should be able to access hello world as Sang. So if you click this guy, you should be able to see jpassion.com. Now you sign out again. Okay, now this time you are going to this time yeah, so in this case now we are going to actually have another link that has the login so that you can actually log in. So we are going to actually change this code in the this is the index.html file. Here we are going to log in. Oh, it looks like I already have it. Yeah, looks like I already have it. Okay, click login. Yeah, so login and restart the application. So we are going to see whether I can actually go to here. Okay. Okay, so here I can log in, and then oh, maybe it was actually using the old things. Okay, so now let's this time, and we're gonna actually try rod and rod. Okay, rod, and we log in. And this is the page that goes, it's a default page because we didn't actually click the particular link, it goes to this page. Okay, so now I can actually go to this page. and then I should be able to click this guy, and it should actually be, it should allow me to, the access that page because I'm logged in as Rod. Okay, and the sign out. Now let's see. Okay. Okay. So this is in fact working correctly. Okay. So let me actually try again. Yeah. So I am going to log. Oops. I want to sign out. Yeah, so somehow the sign out is not working well. Okay, so I have to take a look why sign out is not working. So this is the one we just tried it, and Rod, and then OLS particular page after successful login. Yeah, so if you set to this true, okay, then regardless whether user is clicking a particular link or not, it will always go to this page. So you can, so in this case, we are going to set this guy to web security config, and default this one to true. Okay, and then let's actually restart the application and run as, and Java application and main application. Okay, so now we are going to go to 8080. Okay, so now regardless whether I click this one or this one, it should always go to the default page. Okay, so I click this guy, and I'm going to log in as Rod. Okay, and sign in, and it goes to the default page. Okay, and I'm going to sign. Oh, that sign out worked. Okay, now I'm gonna click login, and obviously this always go to the the default page after successful login. Okay, all right. Okay, so that is that. Let's see. Okay, so it was a bit long demonstration. So for your own exercise, I'm gonna actually ask you guys to try all the steps from 1 to 9. And then for your own exercise, add another user called John as a teller role, and add another URL called hello world say winter and corresponding view page, and allow this URL to be accessible only to teller or user role. Okay? All right, so Okay, adding a password encoder. So right now we were actually using clear text password, which is obviously not the right thing to do. So password can be encoded using hashing algorithm through password encoding class such as bcrypt password encoder. Okay, so you can actually create bcrypt password encoder object, and you can pass your clear text password, and it gets back with the hashed password. So that's the one that you might want to save and maintain. Protection from dictionary attacks. When using hashed password, it's also a good idea to use a salt value to protect against what is called the dictionary attack, and Spring Security supports this as well. So you can think of salt as a random data that is used as random data that is used as an additional input to a one-way function that has the password. So you can certainly actually take advantage of the salt value when you are using bcrypt password encoder class. Okay, moving forward. Remember me. So we have two more topics to cover in this security presentation. One is remember me, and the other one is the CSRF. Okay, remember me. What is remember me feature? So I'm sure you guys are familiar with the remember me feature because it's everywhere. So basically, remember me feature allows a user to access secured resource after timeout, session timeout, without relogging in. So typically when you go to website, and session is timed out, right? But when you logged in, if you actually click the remember me, then next time, even if the session has timed out, you can log in without entering username and password. Okay. Typically, session timeout is set to 30 minutes. The reason it works is because there is a remember me cookie in your browser. So your browser should be able to send a cookie as a way of authenticating you to the server without you re-entering username and password. Okay. All right. So the way you have to configure the server side to allow remember me feature to work is you have to call remember me and then token validity seconds. So this is the amount of time that you want to support that remember me, okay, token. And on the client side, client has to provide some indication that client wants to have a remember me feature. So this is a checkbox you typically see, right? So this is called the remember me, and it says checkbox. The name of the checkbox has to be remember-me. So that's the default value. Okay, I mean you can certainly change it here. Okay, but as a default, the name is looking for is remember me, meaning the server is looking for this remember me checkbox. Okay. One more thing that you can actually add in your JSP page is that you can, the Spring Security supports a way of Spring Security supports a way of finding out whether you are in fact authenticated as with a remember me, or you are fully authenticated. Fully authenticated means that you have to enter username and password. Okay. Remember me thing is that in this case, when your session has timed out later on, you actually access the same resource, and remember me cookie is going to be sent to the server, and then you are logged in. So in that case, Spring Framework lets you know that you have been authenticated in using remember me. So there is in fact the is remember me method and is fully authenticated method. Okay, so if remember me returns true, that means you have been authenticated using remember me cookie. If is fully authenticated returns true, that means you've been logged in. You've been authenticated by explicit username and password. Okay, so you can find out the whether you are authenticated with the remember me or not, like that. Obviously, these are default and optional. Okay, so let's do exercise 2. So exercise 2, we are going to do remember me. Okay. So first of all, we are going to configure remember me. So you have to add remember me and token like this. Okay. So I'm gonna stop this guy. I'm going to use this complete package. So we are going to change web security config here. Okay, so looks like it's already added here. Okay, so remember me is added. Okay, and then my custom login.jsp page should send the remember me checkbox. Okay, so that is my custom login.jsp page. Let's see, so we are going to go to src main web app web inf views and security, and my custom login page. Here you are going to add this remember me checkbox and name it as remember me. Okay. All right, and then you are going to add the authentication one. Yeah, so in the display page, you can actually add this code to see whether you've been authenticated with remember me or not. Okay, so that is my page 1. So if you go to my page 1, yeah, looks like I already have that. So I'm going to use the security tag here, tag live, and then I have added these 6 lines of code. Okay. And in the pom.xml file, I need to add this Spring Security tag live dependency. Okay, so I think that has been added as well. So this is really complete. So dependency is security tag live. Yeah, here you go. I have added security tag live. Okay, so now let's run this application. So I'm going to run this complete. Yes, to make sure the server is up and stopped. Okay, so I'm gonna run this one as Java application. main application. Okay, so here we are gonna go to localhost 8080. So this is what we get. Okay, so we are going to click a hello world page. Okay, and we are going to see this remember me. Okay, now before we do that, I'm going to enable Chrome developer tools. So that I can actually see remember me cookie is in fact being sent back. Okay, so I'm going to click this guy. Okay, so I have the username and password, so I'm going to use Sang, and then if I click this guy and sign in, the server will send me back the remember me cookie. Okay, so that's what we want to observe. So click sign in. Okay, now we should be able to observe the remember me cookie. So here you should be able to see, first of all, this user is logged in by username and password. So we are logged in with a full authentication because we provided username and password. Okay, and also we should actually see the cookie here. So when you click the login, yeah, sometimes I have these issues. Yeah, select the network and oh, here we go. I can go all the way up here and click login. So when I logged in, okay, what gets back is remember me cookie, and of course this is a session, so you know the session should be back, and also remember me cookie. So this is remember me cookie that is sent back to the client, meaning the browser. Okay. All right, now we are going to simulate the session timeout, because we don't want to wait 30 minutes. Okay, so you know we are going to actually remove the session. We're going to actually remove we are going to actually remove the session ID of session cookie of this guy. So basically we are simulating the session timeout. Okay, because we don't want to wait 30 minutes. So we go to here and then go to settings, and then we are going to show advanced settings, and then we have content. Where is the content? Yeah, content settings. So click content settings. Now you click all cookies and site data. So you should, you want to actually go to that place and then type localhost, and you are going to see that in fact many cookies. Okay. Oh shoot, there are too many. Okay, so you know what? I'm gonna actually remove. Let's see. Let me see. I can. Yeah. So it looks like I remove all shown. I'm gonna actually try it again. So I'm going to try again. So, all right. I'm going to. Should I stop? What can I just go? Yeah, I should be able to just go to this page. I can just go to this page, and then I hear hello world, and now Sang remember me cookie, sign on. Okay, so now I should have just a single session which I can just remove. Okay, so go over here and settings, and again show advanced settings, and then content settings under privacy, and then all cookies and site data. So we should have just 2 local host. Yeah, so just 2 cookies. Good. So you don't want to remove remember me, because that's the one that we want to use. We just want to remove this session ID so that we are simulating a session ID. Okay, so click this guy, and then you are going to remove. Okay, all right, done. So now, because session cookie is gone, it's almost the same thing as a session has timed out. Okay. All right, so now what we are going to do is just to show you and all the content settings, blah blah blah. Okay, so we just removed it, right? Okay, now if I go to this page, okay, the session timed out. So I'm gonna actually go to Hello World page, not the Hello World page. So I'm gonna just go to again this page. Okay, now if I click this guy, I still should be able to see the page, and you can see I'm logged in as remember me cookie. Okay, I did not have to re-enter username and password again, because the remember me cookie is sent to the server, and server automatically authenticated me. Okay, so one caveat is that if your clients are not browser, then you don't have to on that. Don't worry about it. Yeah. So I was gonna actually talk about that in this setup. Okay, so you can see this. I'm logged in now. Remember me cookies. Okay. All right. So now we're gonna actually try the same scenario now without sending remember me request. Okay. So I am to let's see. I'm going to sign out first. Okay. Sign out, and then I'm going to hello. Oops, remember me cookies. Yeah, so you know what? I probably have to remove that cookies again. Actually, when I signed out, it should access data track, and you're logged in and saying, yeah. So somehow sign out didn't work. Okay, so I'm gonna just remove the remember me cookie. Okay, content settings and all cookies, and localhost, and here I'm going to remove this guy, and I'm going to also remove this guy. Okay, so done. So we should actually start from clean state. Okay, in fact we can just restart the application. Okay, just to make sure we are really starting from clean slate. Okay, so I'm going to stop this guy and then run the application again, and main application. So this time we are not going to set the remember me. Okay. Okay, so now let's go here. So we're gonna go to localhost 8080. Okay, now when we click hello world, okay, we are going to just say sang, and we are not going to check remember me, so we're gonna just sign in. Okay, so right now the remember me cookie is not enabled. Okay, so server didn't send back the cookie remember me cookie. So when I go to the cookie storage of the browser, it should not have remember me cookie. Okay, so now we are going to actually again simulate the session timeout. So you're going to actually remove again the session. So here, go to all cookies and session, and then again local host. And here we have a single cookie, so we're gonna just remove this guy. As again, we don't have any remember me cookie at all. Okay, so done. Okay, now we are going to okay, so now we should be able to simulate. So remove it, and then we go to again here 8080. Okay, now when I try to click this guy, it asks me again to enter username and password, because it doesn't have username the remember me cookie. Okay, so I have to every time I need to log in, I need to log in with the full username and password. Okay, sign in, and it worked, and you can see it is logged in as username and password. Let's see, that is that. Okay, so I'm gonna let you guys to try this exercise in maybe 12 or 13 minutes. Yeah, the reason my the logout didn't work is because of the CSRF. So that's actually our next topic. So now when so I'm gonna actually explain the CSRF, and I'll actually explain why when I try to log out. At least this one didn't work, and this two should work fine. So when I log in, now it should work fine. Saying sign in and sign out. Now it should work fine. Yeah, the reason it didn't work is because CSRF thing. Okay, so that's our next topic, and let's move on to CSRF, cross-site request forgery. So what is CSRF? So let me explain CSRF attack's example scenario. This attack works by including a link or script in a page that accesses a site to which user is known or supposed to have been authenticated. So let's say Alice. Alice has been authenticated to a website, and Alice's browser has a cookie, so that cookie should actually allow the Alice to be able to access the server. Will be able to actually provide access to Alice. Now Alice decided to go, while she was actually working with that website, she decided to go another page, another like a forum or something, where a malicious user called the Malloy has posted a message. Okay, and that message contains some malicious link. So in this case, there is a message. It could be a message, it could be an image link, and the link is something like this. It wants to go the Alice's website, and it wants to retrieve, let's say, $1 million. Okay, from Alice's bank account to Malloy. So Alice was talking to her bank, right? So Alice is somehow clicked this link, and because Alice has been already authenticated, the server thought that this is in fact coming from Alice. Does that make sense? So that's what this is all about. If Alice's bank keeps her authentication information in a cookie, and if the cookie hasn't expired, meaning Alice's, whenever she talks to her bank, she keeps sending the cookie, and the cookie is basically an indication to the bank server that Alice is a valid user. But Alice actually clicked this link, so this link is in fact sending a request to Alice's bank. Okay. So this is the problem. So basically, the bank thought that this request comes from Alice, and the bank will transfer $1 million to Malloy. So this is a CSRF example scenario. Okay. So what is the solution? So how we can prevent this problem? Well, the solution is very simple. The solution is whenever Alice needs to change the state on the server, for example, transfer $10,000 or $1 million, something like that, she has to send a token that only the Alice and her bank knows about. Okay, so every time the Alice send the request to the server, she's gonna send the token. But this link, okay, the Malloy's link would not send that token. So that's the way the server knows, this is a message. This is a request not from Alice, but could be some malicious user. Does that make sense? Okay. Okay, so basically by embedding additional authentication data such as CSRF token into request, so every single request coming from Alice should include it. Okay, so you should use this CSRF protection for any request that could be processed by a browser by normal users. So this is actually happening with the browser. So if you're building an application that does not serve any the browser client, then you don't have to actually enable the CSRF protection. Okay, so we are talking about the browser-based clients. Okay, so as a default, Spring always enables CSRF on the server side. Okay, so the reason that my sign out didn't work is because I didn't have this token. I didn't send this token. So the server thought that I was actually from a malicious user. Okay, so that's the reason when I try to sign out, it doesn't even actually let me do that. Okay. Okay, so the server side is always enabled. On the client side, CSRF token should be included in all patch, post, put, and delete method, meaning any request that will change the server should send CSRF token. If the server does not receive this CSRF token, then server will not handle that request. Okay, so that's the reason in my previous example, because I didn't send this CSRF token, the server just disregard my sign out request. Okay, so basically this can be done by using CSRF request attribute to obtain the current CSRF token. So let me show the code. Okay, so if you want to send CSRF token, basically this is the code that you want to add. So you can actually send it as a hidden input type. Input type hidden. The name is this. So you're going to go CSRF attribute and you get the parameter name, and the value is CSRF token. So you're actually providing name and the value. Okay. So now, if you're using Spring MVC form and form tag, or if you're using timelift template, then CSRF token is automatically included for you. If you're not using Spring MVC form tag, or if you're not using timelift, as in the case here, you have to explicitly include it. Okay? So in these days, many template technology automatically include it. Okay, but in this case, Spring tag will include it, and timelift will include it. But if you're not using Spring MVC tag, or if you're not using timelift, you have to include it yourself using these 2 lines of code. Is that clear? Okay. Question from Rakesh. How can you add CSRF to REST API call? All right, so what do you guys think? What do you think? So question, yes, so let me just forward from Rakesh's. If we add CSRF to REST API call, so basically you are asking, what happens to a REST call when the client is sending REST call? Anybody? Yeah, so Santi was actually responding with a question, and that is in fact the valid question. It depends. It depends whether API is coming from a browser or not, right? If it is coming from a browser, then you have the same issue, and if it is not from a browser, then this is not a problem. Okay. All right, so let's see. Moving forward, so let's do exercise 3. So let's take a look at the exercise 3. Okay. So we are going to try HTML form without sending CSRF token, and then we are going to try HTML form, meaning we are not using the Spring form, or we are not using timelift. Okay, so this HTML form means you have to actually send CSRF token explicitly. So first we are going to see the consequence of not sending CSRF token, and then we are going to use CSRF token explicitly. And then we are going to use a Spring form. As I said before, Spring form will automatically send it for you, so you don't have to include those 2 lines. Okay. And then last one is we are going to disable the server application. As I said, CSRF is automatically enabled in the server, Spring server applications, but you could disable. Okay. So we're going to actually see the behavior of these things. Okay. All right. So we're going to actually go to here. We are going to see, so let's actually run the application. So security CSRF JSP. Okay, so we are going to, so let's stop this guy first, and let's run this Java application. Okay, so it's done. So you're gonna go to localhost 88. So we have three situations. So user, and admin, and dummy in dummy role. Okay. So here we are going to click this guy. Okay. So that is the case that we are going to send a form without sending CSRF. Okay. And so we're gonna actually try admin. So we are going to click this guy, and then say admin. Oops. Admin, and sign in. Okay, so now user admin is logged in, but the sorry about that. So in this case, CSF, you see the message, CSRF error expected because CSRF token is not sent. So you actually get the CSRF error. Okay, so let's take a look at the code. So if you take a look at the JSP page, you see we have this two lines of code is commented out. Okay, so which means that we are not sending CSRF token. Okay, so when I have to actually to experience it, I have to actually click the sign out. Okay, so sign out is actually the sending a post request. So if I click this guy, now you are going to see the CSRF the error message: invalid CSRF token null was found in the request parameter. Okay, so this is the indication from the server that CSRF token has not been received, so it's going to disallow it. Okay. All right. Okay. So that was actually the same problem that I experienced in the previous exercise. Okay. All right. Now we're gonna actually try the second one. So the second page is here. We are going to use this time we are going to send the CSRF. Okay. So click this guy. So here I'm going to sign out, and it worked fine because we sent the CSRF along with it. Okay, so let me actually, if you want to see the CSRF token, you can certainly take a look at the from a developer tool. So let's press F12. Okay, so let's 12, and let's try this one again. So here we click, and admin. Okay, and then sign in. Okay, now when I click sign out, so sign out is in fact if you take a look at the source code, in fact this is the source code. We log out, and then we are sending post, and we are sending this the CSRF token of this value. Okay. All right, so now you're gonna actually click sign out to post it. Okay, and post it. And let's see whether CSF, so let's see, log out, click this guy. You see, where is the CSF token, not cookies. I think I documented it here. Oh, so it should be the form data, right? So because, yeah, it should be the form data. Let's see if this should be request. Let's see, how can I get the form data? So network, oh, it's from the headers part. Okay, so go to the headers part, and then if you go to the form data, so we should actually see headers, request, status, all the way down here. Okay, so this is the CSRF token that we sent from the browser. Okay, so we sent the token, so that's the reason it allows me to log out, because in this case sign out is actually sending a post request. Okay. So that is the second case. Now third case is the same. So third case, we are in fact using Spring Form. So if you take a look at this code, third case, so let's go to the third page here. Okay, now if you take a look at the source of this guy, we do not actually explicitly oh, you know what, yeah, this is actually added by Spring Form tag. Okay, so if you actually take a look at the code itself, so let me actually show the code. If you take a look at the code, yeah, so this is the code. So in this case, we are using Spring Form. Okay, so we are using Spring Form tag library. So we are using Spring Form tag. So we did not have to include CSRF tag ourselves because it gets automatically added. And as you have as you have seen, this is what has been added by Spring Form tag. Okay, so so we should be able to do this one. So again, we can try admin and then sign in. So now we are going to be able to sign out here. Again, if you take a look at the source code, you should be able to see this has been added, right? So now when I click the sign out, okay, expected CSRF token not found. Has your session expired? 4/3. That is interesting. So sign out. Okay, so let me run the again. Here we are going to try the third case. Here, sign out. This application is no explicit mapping of error, and you are seeing this as a fallback. This was unexpected error, forbidden 403. Yeah, this is actually for. So this is still invalid token things. That is interesting. Because we actually use the Spring tag library, and because yes, it's automatically send Spring. This is interesting. Yeah, so if you take a look at the source, oh, you know what? It didn't actually send it. Oh, that is interesting. So somehow the you see this is, yeah, so this is the the not Spring code, but it doesn't actually the added somehow so it's not actually using hello3 spring form.jsp page. So I'm going to actually try hello3 dash spring dash form. Oh, I'm not sure it's gonna work. Oh, maybe. Yeah, okay. No, it didn't work. Okay, so hello3 spring form dash form. Yeah, so JSP usually is not supposed to be accessible. Yeah, then nothing like that. So I'm not sure why that didn't work out. Okay, so I have to take a look. Okay, so that is actually exercise 3, but somehow that didn't work. Okay, so the next one is we are going to actually disable CSRF in the application. So the way that you can disable is you can add this guy. Okay, so CSRF we're going to add here to the in this case we are going to go configuration, and we are going to so we're going to uncomment this too, and then we are going to rerun the application, and then CSRF is not going to play the role here. Okay, so the even the first page and the third page should work fine. Okay, so let's go over here and 8080 and click this guy. So now this one, and admin and log in, and this one, even if I click sign out, it works fine, and this one also should work fine. I don't know why it didn't work in previous exercise, but since CSRF is disabled, this one should work fine as well. Okay, all right, so that is the CSRF. Any questions? So I'll take a look why this third page was not working on the 3.3.